Okay, so as you guys can see in that last video, yes, China is one of the biggest countries that's big on executing and doing death penalties for drug trafficking. And for some reason, I can't help but understand that Trump wants to mirror China so much. In the next video that I post on here for you guys, I want you to listen to how Trump talks so highly of how China has no drug smuggling and all this and that in their country. And also, if you remember, or if you was paying close attention in the last video, you know, they used death penalty on the people that was beneath them in China. You know, the rulers used death penalty on the civilizations that was poor and stuff to kind of keep them in line, more like a dictatorship. And we all know China is ran by a dictator, and we know they don't have that thing called democracy. And for some reason, just like they said in the video, those, laws on death penalty was made when all the wars was going on. If you can't help but listen what's going on in the world right now, we have been sinking ships. We done been over here trying to, we've been shooting over there in Venezuela. We done captured their president, their first lady, and then we got bombs and stuff we just dropped in Iran. We got so much going on in war right now that you might as well say that we in a War 3. It's obviously. And, we got Russia. It's so much going on, and I just want to stick to the topic at hand, but it kind of all plays into why I feel like Trump wants to go out here, and I feel like the next thing he will be shooting for is for the death penalty for drug dealers. But before we all try to wrap our head around this, let's take a listen to what he had to say about the death penalty, and let's also hear how he talked so highly of China. And then let's look at this this guy that's from another country, and he was given the death penalty for a sack of marijuana. His family didn't plead for his life, did not do any good. They still gave him lethal ejection. Let's sit and take a look at this, and I'll be right back.
Ensure that when a drug dealer is caught, smugglers, human traffickers, and you have it, I think, worse than any nation, any state, anywhere in the nation. When we catch a drug dealer, the only way you're going to stop it is the death penalty. And if you go to China, and remember, each drug dealer, on average, causes 500 deaths, not to mention the destruction of families. And plenty of people are in this room where your family has been destroyed because one of your kids, whether they died or just have been incapacitated for the rest of their life, each drug dealer causes 500 deaths plus destructions of families. And when you have a death in your family like that, that's a pretty good destruction of the family, because most families can never function after that when they lose their child. The death penalty for drug dealers, very simple. You will see it end so fast. You will see it end so fast. You know, when I was in China, I said to President Xi, do you have a drug problem? No, you don't have a drug problem. You got 1.4 billion people. No drug problem. I said, what's the reason for that? Quick trial. I pretty much knew what he was talking about, but I say quick trial. That means what I think it means. That means we catch the drug dealer, we give them a trial immediately, and if they're guilty, they are executed. And you know, they send the cost of the bullet to the family. They play hardball. They don't have a drug. In Singapore, they have no drug problem, zero drug problem, because they have the death penalty. Now, I don't know if this country is ready for the death penalty, but remember, every single drug dealer causes 500 deaths and destroys states. Your state is being destroyed because of it. Let's face it. You're the worst. I don't know why. New Hampshire is affected more than most other states for some reason. But if you had the death penalty, you would have, everybody would leave. They'd say, let's go someplace else. You know, we set up when I was president, we did a good job. We cut it down 19%, but 19% is not good. We cut it down 19. No, it went up for 40 years, 19%. We cut it. And we'd have a blue ribbon committee made of socialites, headed up by a great first lady in many cases, and she was wonderful. But they'd have a beautiful, nice committee, and they're dealing with these monsters, the cartel people, and these are monsters that are very smart, rich as hell, they have plenty of everything. And, you know, these blue ribbon committees, everyone wanted to be on, I want to be on a blue ribbon committee. And most of the time we'd be talking, you know, they talk about society, they talk about life, and then they get on with their lives, right? Now, if you want to stop the drug problem in this country, you have to have the death penalty for drug dealers. It's very simple. And you will stop it. I just don't know whether or not, and I'm totally in favor of it, but I don't know whether or not our country is ready for it. But if it's not ready now, when is it going to be? So I think we're losing, you know, they say 100. They've been using that 100,000 for years, right? Even less. I think we're losing 300,000 or 400,000 people a year.
Executed by Singapore for facilitating the sale of a kilogram of cannabis. Thangaraju Supiya's family continued to appeal to authorities to spare his life right till the end, as did international bodies, including the UN.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights calls on the government not to proceed with this execution and to take steps to fully respect the most fundamental of human rights, the right to life.
But the government wouldn't budge and hanged Supiya on Wednesday morning. Activists have contested his sentencing and Singapore's harsh laws for what they say are small-time drug offences.
The execution of Thangaraju was just outrageous and unacceptable. And, you know, it looks like Singapore is launching a renewed spree to empty their death row. This is part of their misguided deterrence effort. They think that this is going to show that they're tough on drugs. What it's actually showing is that Singapore's, you know, image of a modern civilized country is just a mirage.
Singapore's zero-tolerance stance on drugs is in stark contrast to some nearby countries. Last year, Thailand removed cannabis from its banned list of narcotics. And in April, Malaysia approved legal reforms to abolish the mandatory death penalty for offences including drug trafficking. But authorities say the harsh drug laws limit the smuggling from major producing regions nearby, like Myanmar, Laos, and Afghanistan. That's despite what the UN says is clear evidence to the contrary.
The death penalty for drug offences is incompatible with international norms and standards. Countries that have not yet abolished the death penalty may only impose it for the most serious crimes, which is interpreted as crimes of extreme gravity involving intentional killings.
Singapore has resisted calls to change so far and says it will keep its strict anti-drug policy in place despite growing international pressure. Shoaib Hassan, TRT World.